steal my idea.
Actually,
Meeting October 30th, 2012.
Wear my glasses so I can see what I'm reading. It's getting sad, isn't it?
Getting old, that's awful.
Is Councilor Pomelo?
It's 7 o'clock. I'd like to bring this meeting to order. Would you please rise for the pledge? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilor Bowie?
Here.
Councilor Bickford?
Here.
Councilor Ward? Here. Councilor La Rochelle?
Here.
Councilor Mason?
Here.
Councilor Lunt?
Here.
Note that Councilor Pomelo is excused.
First item, please.
First item is the public hearing. Victualer's license, Billy Harris doing business as Bill's Place at the Extra Mart.
I'd like to open a public hearing.
How you doing?
Good.
Bill Harris. I'm asking for permission to open a business at Extra Mart down in Lisbon Falls. Any
Perfect.
questions?
Not at this point. If you want to make any other comments about what type of business or what your plans are.
Yeah, it's takeout and catering. Pretty much going to be open morning till night and just trying to serve Lisbon.
Perfect. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other takers on the public hearing? Seeing none, I'll close that public hearing. Next item, please.
Is under audience participation. At this time, those in the audience who wish to address the council may come forward. Please use the microphone at the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Larry Fillmore from Lisbon. The first question I have is, who's responsible for protecting the rights of individuals attending council meetings?
You can continue on with your questions if you like, or your statements.
Are we going to answer the question, or?
At this point, it's for you to give your input. We're not looking for a debate or anything, so
I wasn't looking for a debate. I was just asking who's responsible.
you can continue on with your presentation.
Okay, very good. Why do the council working rules not apply to councilors? We're not going to answer that?
Continue on.
Okay. Why doesn't the council police its own? Council working rules, 7A. All members of the town council shall accord the utmost courtesy to each other, to town employees, and to public members appearing before the town council, and shall refrain at all times from rude and derogatory remarks, reflections as to integrity, abusive comments, and statements as to motives and personalities. These are your council working rules that I'm reading from. It says if the chair fails to act, and they're talking about if it's out of hand and the chair does nothing, any member may move to require the chair to enforce the rules, and the affirmative vote of the majority of the town council shall require the chair to act. Now, for the second time in this history of this town, we have had an outburst by individuals in different positions that was not in accordance with the council working rules, and not a member of this council did anything to enforce your own council working rules. We need to put a stop to these outbursts and adhere to your own working rules. Okay? Now, I'm going to leave you with something. It says, if you cannot fix stupid, you cannot fix stupid, but it certainly will be a relief to get rid of some. Thank you.
Any other takers for audience participation?
Hello. I am Chris Amaya. Some of you may know me as the owner of Miller's Variety in Lisbon Falls. I have owned and operated that store for about 5 years. Some of you also may remember me from Future Foods, which was 23 years ago, where I was a cashier and worked there. I still see a lot of my customers in town. And some of you may know my family. My mother and her 5 brothers were raised in Lisbon, right on Main Street, now Village Street. My mother's Jean, and her 5 brothers, Silvio, Norman, Ray, Bert, and Paul Levesque. And they lived right across the street, almost across the street from the library. And a cute story, the Bretton's Market. My mother was good friends with Janet Breton. And one Saturday night, my mother was a senior in high school. She wanted to go over to Mrs. Bretton's house. They were going to spend the night over at Janet's. So my grandmother says, well, when you get over there, I want you to wave to me. I want to make sure you girls are okay. So they crossed the street, walked down a few feet, and they got in Mrs. Bretton's big picture. A lot of history. I don't live in Lisbon. I live in Sabatis, but I have a lot of Lisbon history. And recently I realized that the old library in Lisbon was for sale. And after being at Miller's and doing quite well, I thought it was time to challenge myself a little bit more and continue. I have a big passion for people, and I think this would be a great little cafe to do a breakfast, lunch, some daily specials. I'm thinking 6 to 2, Monday through Saturday. If things do really well, I'm open to extending my hours. I'm okay with menu changes. I know not everything's going to be perfect, but I certainly I have 30 years experience in retail. I worked at Future Foods. I worked at Shaw's when I was 16. I worked at Hannaford for 15 years. I worked at the Settlement. I worked at Extra Mart also, where you're going to be. And I worked on Danny's on Sabata Street as well. So I'm really excited. I've got some plans, and I think that I'm not only looking forward to doing business in Lisbon, but I'm looking forward to doing business for Lisbon and to build up the town. So I'd like a little famous saying, if I could, to let's bring our Lisbon folks back to Lisbon. And, you know, they don't have to go to the Settlement for breakfast anymore. They can come here. So if anybody has any questions or comments.
No, I think that's great.
I think it's
Sounds
exciting,
wonderful.
yeah.
So, very good.
Yep.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Hopefully, if there's anything that you need, you know where to come looking, that's all.
Excuse me?
If anything you need, you know where to come looking, that's
Oh,
all.
absolutely.
Roger Cody, Lisbon Falls. I don't know if we're going to get an opportunity to speak any further this evening about or in the future, but I worked with Mike on the council. I worked with Mike on different times, and where Mike is not going for his seat, I wanted to just wish him luck. And sometimes we didn't agree, and we locked horns a lot of times, but the fact is that Mike has put a lot of work in this town and on the council, and I want to thank him for his service.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you, Mike.
Dorothy Fitzgerald, Town of Lisbon, Lisbon Falls Village, School Street. You probably all know what I'm going to say. Wasn't sure if I was going to speak up or not, but I'm really, really disappointed in the town council. You have working rules, and you do not adhere to your working rules. As of what happened at the last council meeting, each one of you, singularly and collectively, were at fault for not living up to and enforcing your own rules. I'm very, very disappointed in all of you. You can sit and smirk all you want, but
Any other takers for audience participation?
I had one more thing.
Sure.
My store was robbed a couple weeks ago, armed robbery, and I wanted to personally thank the police department because they did a really good job. I'd say within 36 hours he was caught. My girls are pretty shaken up and pretty wound up, but it was a relief to know that he had been caught. They were there at the store, they stayed, they interviewed, they looked at the video, so I did want to thank them. So thank you. It's a good job.
Thank you. Any other takers for audience participation? Seeing none, we'll close that. Next item, please.
Council responses to audience participation?
Just one response back tonight. This, as Roger said, this may be Mike's last meeting, which we want to give him all the credit that is due. He, how would I say it? We know our working rules. The council is well aware of what happens, and tonight Mike has promised me that that the working rules will be abided, and I think that we'll be all in good shape. So, again, we are well aware of the working rules, and we do take care of any concerns that we have. No, not at this point. No. No. I think we're all good. Next item, Twyla.
Consent agenda. Any counselor wishing to have any item removed may do so now. Items removed from the consent agenda will be considered next. Seeing none, Order 2012-167 to approve the victuals license for Billy Harris doing business as Bill's Place and the minutes of October 16th, 2012.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Item, please.
Is under council orders, resolutions, and ordinances. Order 2012-168 ATV Trail Ride.
What I'd like to do is, if I have council permission, to move this into other business. All set with council?
Fine.
Next item is other business. Would you like to take up that first?
Please.
The ATV Trail Ride.
Roger, if you want to kind of,
I have volunteered to put on an ATV ride for charity in the afternoon, Saturday, after the Moxie Day Parade. It's a unique ride because it's going to be all hot top. It will end basically back at McDonald's. And I need discussion, permission, or whatever to use the walking trail between the elementary school and Frost Hill Avenue. It will probably last, there will be motorized vehicles on it for probably 15, 20 minutes. And like I said, it is a charity ride for young children. And there will be a little bit of a stipend for the Moxie Day Committee, too. But since there's an ordinance saying that there can be no motorized vehicles except for snowmobiles on this trail, then I'm going to need council's permission to do this.
Roger has stepped forward and actually spoke to me about it, and we are going to get in the process of finding out legally exactly how we actually go about the idea of allowing permission and make sure it's within our rules. It's not going to be a free-for-all ride. It's going to be a chaperoned, escorted ride. So it's going to be well controlled. And this is one of our hopes to actually expand Moxie Days a little bit, to actually give different people different opportunities and show off the town and try to bring some unique people in. One of the things that we have before we move forward, I'd like to find out if council has any concerns or questions that we need to address prior to bringing to a vote at some meeting.
No, I mean, the only thing I think we just got to do is make sure we dot our i's, cross our t's, and make sure we go about it the right way and however it has to be done to allow that through the ordinance. But I also, Roger, I think it's the escorted ride is by the police department.
Right.
Right, they're the leaders. So
Yep.
it will be very controlled.
Wouldn't
I think it's a
that
great
group,
thing.
wouldn't that group have to have insurance also?
Does.
It does. I
Does.
assumed it did because, yeah.
We have, that's why we have brought Lisbon on board with this, but we are a bigger club and we have event insurance.
Great.
Any
Is
other-
there precedence for some other groups using the trail for that, or do we? No,
This is
that's
just-
too
I think-
This is
busy.
just a
I
mo-
think that's
this
what
is-
council has
Yeah.
to talk through and discuss and figure out for allowing it, is because you have to be careful about the precedent setting and how you allow certain things for that. I mean, these are under, I think, unique circumstances from my perspective, right? It's part of our Moxie Day Festival, And it's very controlled through our police department, right, with the Drill Riders Association. So I think, you have to look at all those facets as far as how you make the exception for these particular charity-type events, so that it doesn't become a free-fall and you start getting asked by everybody under the sun about now being able to use that, because you don't want to deter from the normal use of the path for walking.
Correct.
Could I ask that the council speak up? I talk to people that watch the council meetings on TV and they cannot hear. It would be awfully nice if you could speak up, so these meetings are televised for a reason.
We'll certainly try that.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions at all on this from council before we move forward? All right. And again, we'll just move to other business because we do need to get a little more information before we take it to a vote. Next item, Twyla?
Is Recreation Department report.
Mark, you're up.
Greetings.
Mark.
Can you hear me?
Bring it up a little higher.
First time anybody's ever said that to me.
Bring it up higher, you mean?
Well, the microphone. I do want to say before I start that after 20 years, I still feel it a privilege and an honor to be the Recreation Director for Town of Lisbon. I'm very proud of our town. I want to read my report, and it's a few pages, but I'd like to engage and answer questions you might have afterwards. I left some of the details out because I was told this was only a 15-minute presentation. I want to start by saying that on May 1st, our department implemented an online registration service. This web-based software, also known as Rec 1, is used by many recreation departments throughout the country. However, after doing some research, Lisbon is the first main community that adopted this software. Sherry Garnett worked hard weeks prior to setting up cells needed to, in order to launch this program. There was a lot of prep work. The transition took some time to get used to. We needed to take a learn-as-you-go approach in order to get this software up and going. Another issue was that its home base is in Atlanta, Georgia, so it sounds like it's easy just a phone call away, but a lot of times we're on hold trying to address some of the software issues. But the software is incredible. It allows our customers to register online with a variety of payment options, including debit and credit card. Once our customer chooses the desired program they want, it's prompted to actually allow them to sign or check off a release and hold harmless that we have on all of our flyers. They click approve, and then an automatic email is sent right to their home email. An additional thing, we're able to track real-time our participant numbers and organize rosters and schedules immediately. Rec 1 scalable tools gives us control over activities management and payment. The reporting platform allows us to choose between dozens of options, including financial reports, activity reports, membership data, facility and equipment reports. The cost of this program is 1% of all our revenues. The summer of 2012, it was probably the most successful we could have ever wished for, including the weather. It was outstanding. It gave us the green light to offer all the programs without having to worry about rescheduling or canceling. Some of our programs, actually I'm going to list all of our programs, but not give you details about how many participants in each one, because it would take forever. But our co-ed softball program is at Pinewoods, 8 weeks during the summertime. We have a playoff tournament. Our sport camps included basketball, football, field hockey, cheering camp, track and field, tennis, soccer, and horseback riding. Those are just our sport camps. Our summer day camps operated from the MTM and the Lisbon Elementary School 5 days a week, beginning in June and continuing until the second week of August. Between the two camps, we had 170 campers for 8 hours a day. They enjoyed daily activities to trips to amusement parks, beaches, and state parks. Weeks of planning and preparation for our summer day camps is necessary. Jamie Martin, our assistant director, oversees many of our summer programs, including the day camps. Our staff is made up of teachers, college students, and high school students. We require our staff to participate in an online education program prior to start of any of the programs. Each staff member must score an 80% or higher in order to progress to the next series of assignments. They each watch about 8 videos. They're geared towards their certain level of employment. If they're a first-year employee, then they have basic videos to watch, like anti-bullying, conflict resolution, and things like that. The highlights of our summer special events. Our Moxie 5K road race was held again every year on the second Saturday in July. This was our 18th year organizing the race. We had a record number of 550 runners. It was the biggest race in Maine on that weekend. Equally impressive was the number of children that showed up for our pre-race fun run. We had over 100 children receive medals as they crossed the finish line. We collected $9,192, nearly $4,000 more than we expected. New for this summer was the return of the Moxie Car Show. The Recreation Department resurrected the show after a 20-year hiatus. We were fortunate to have many of the same volunteers as our 5K volunteers. Months of planning and preparation paid off. With the help of local businesses and over 20 volunteers and our rec staff, the show was a huge success. The number of classic cars that attended exceeded all of our expectations. WQRY, the radio station, broadcasted live throughout the event and announced the winners of each class. We raised $5,500 towards the purchase of a new van for our senior citizens and recreation program. If it would have rained that day, we wouldn't have had anything, so we're really dependent on the weather, on the car show. Not so much the 5K. People still like to run in the rain. Another event that's really, the success depends on the weather is our summer movies in the park we did this summer. We transformed the MTM Pavilion into a giant movie screen in July and August. We had high-powered projector and a sound system that brought our park to life. We offered 3 showings this summer, with the final movie attracting 230 residents. And tomorrow night, the department is working with the Lisbon Dare program, offering dinner and a movie at the MTM Center. The movie is a Halloween theme. I'm not sure what it is. It's animated, PG. We're going to show it inside the MTM Community Center. And we're going to offer free popcorn from Max Kettle Corn and hot dogs complimentary Lisbon Police Department. On the final day of our summer program, the Lisbon Rec Department hosted a Lisbon's Got Talent show. We held it on the MTM Pavilion with all of our summer rec kids. This was hilarious. These kids practiced all summer long, different events and skits, musical, songs and dancing, and a lot of parents and their peers were there. It was a great way to end the summer. Fall 2012. The fall programs included our soccer in-town league, football, field hockey. Our youth football players began in first grade and continue all the way up through high school. Same with our soccer program. Our 3rd and 4th and 5th and 6th graders play in the Central Maine Football League, and they play against several other towns. Last Thursday night, our 5th and 6th grade team played in Winthrop and beat the Maranicook Black Bears in the championship game. We have 38 kids in our 5th and 6th grade football program. Equally successful, and success isn't always measured by wins and losses, not only by numbers, but our 7th and 8th grade team is undefeated and will play in the Pine Tree League at Bates College on Saturday. They're averaging 38 points a game. That's with their second team. And so Lisbon football is here to stay for a while, if anybody had any doubts after this year's high school season. Our soccer program plays an in-house league with 5 to 12-year-olds. We have 14 teams playing every Saturday morning at the high school. It's a 7-week program and ends in late October. Our after-school recreation program is held at the MTM Center 5 days a week throughout the school year. Approximately 50 children are bused from LCS to the rec department at 2:30 and are picked up by their parents at 5:30. Our after-school recreation staff are good at keeping children busy and plenty of games and activities. Our fitness center at the MTM Center has an average of 85 current members, paid members. We've had over 500 people come through the system, through the orientation process over the last 5 years. We have 3 rooms dedicated to cardio and weight equipment. We have large screen TVs in each of the cardio rooms. Our fitness center provides a great service for those who don't have time or the means to travel to a larger facility out of town. We charge a nominal $10 per month. We also offer services of a personal trainer for a nominal fee to our members. We also offer aerobics, Zumba classes, and a class called Fit Forever for our retired folks. It's sort of like a chair aerobics class for older folks. Lynn Strout, our senior coordinator, organized a trip to Washington, D.C. Last spring. It was a 7-day, 6-night excursion. It was a guided tour. 48 people enjoyed dining and daily excursions to historic sites, including several war memorials and the Smithsonian Museum. Lynn works with volunteers to coordinate cribbage tournaments, luncheons, and other special events and trips. Some of the other trips offered this past year included Boston Harbor Cruise, Cabbage Island, Clam Bake, Freiburg Fair, and the Dew Animal Kingdom. On Tuesday, this next Tuesday, our seniors are offering an Election Day Cafe. They will be serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the MTM Center for a small fee. The goal is also to encourage more people to vote and to raise money towards our new van. Our revenues are above projection for this time of year. We have collected a total of $65,504 year-to-date. And in closing, providing recreation services is a business of constantly monitoring and evaluating trends, needs, and interest of Lisbon people. Our mission is to determine what the needs are and the interests of the community and find creative ways to provide them, very much like our new summer events. The Lisbon Rec Department strives, as well as the Rec Committee and the MTM Board, to bring the best opportunities we can to our town. We encourage suggestions, ideas of how we can improve our services, and we are all proud to serve the children, families, and the Lisbon community. That's all I have. If you have any questions, be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions for council? Mark?
Yeah, first of all, I mean, great job. You guys are doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
One question I have is with your new software program, with the online entry and the way you use the credit card payments and stuff like that, how does that feed into our financial general ledger account system? How's that intertwined with that? for the
It
payments?
isn't tied directly to our Trio software, as far as I know. All the
Process of how we get the funds identified and
Yeah.
collected in based on what, how the online registration goes?
We had several different options when we started this. With the reason why we're using the credit cards is because we're allowed to use Visa cards, where I think the town has a policy that they can only use MasterCards.
Right.
In order to have that option, we decided to have all of our accounts done in-house through the Rec One software. And what they do is they send us a check for the total amount at the end of each month. And then what we do is we bring it in-house here, and of course, we keep track of what programs are paid for what. We break it down, and all the funds are deposited into our.
So the money actually goes to Rec One, and they send you a check once a month?
It's all
For
internal.
all of the expense, or the registrations that take
Right.
place?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Any other questions from council?
Great job, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay,
Doing a
thank
good
you.
job.
Thank you, Mark. Well done. Mark, are they going to expand the summer program next year for the movies in the park? Is that going to be more of a broader throughout the summer? Because I know there was a question on pricing and financing them.
Well, what we did this year is we offered 3 movies, and we did it the right way. We got our licensing from a corporation that allowed us to show the movie. It was expensive. We're checking in to find out if we really needed to do that. But we did our plan is, to answer your question, is to do at least 6, so double the amount of movies we offer. We're going to do 3 in the spring and 3 in the late summer.
With the turnout, I think definitely it showed that there was a lot of people.
Really great.
It's a local thing that people can come and
Yeah.
cheap entertainment and cheap fun for a family, right?
Right.
That's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Next item, Twyla?
Is the Parks Department report.
Verla.
Mr. Eldridge, town council members, and citizens, thank you for giving me the opportunity to bring you up to date on the Parks Department. Since 1983, the Parks Department has consisted of Beaver Park and Summer Street Park. My responsibility when I was hired 29 years ago as a park ranger was to build and manage 337 acres of Beaver Park as a family day use park and as a certified tree farm, plus maintain 30 acres of Summer Street Park as a neighborhood park. Park staff has consisted of myself and a part-time seasonal laborer. In October, As a result of department restructuring, the Parks Department became responsible for the care and the maintenance of 24 gardens throughout the town and 30 mowing areas, which include lawns and athletic fields. 2 full-time seasonal laborers were hired to help take care and help mow those extra lawn areas. 15 volunteers from the Green Thumb Gang continued to donate their time working for me and their garden expertise caring for the adopted gardens. And then I recruited 5 new volunteers. So we have a total of 20 volunteers helping with the gardens right now. But we have more than 20 gardens. So that means I have to help with the garden work. And the summer seasonal person who works with me and helps me out at the park also helps with that duty. I often felt overwhelmed this summer, running out of daylight hours before I could complete all my garden work and all the park work. Yet, I enjoyed the new challenges. I learned a great deal pertaining to pruning trees, shrubs, identifying plants, learning what they needed for food. There's very overwhelming with all the knowledge that I needed that I didn't have, that I quickly gained. I often sought Faye's knowledge because she knew the plants better than anyone else, and attended garden-related programs whenever possible so I could learn as much as possible. And Mr. Eldridge was always very supportive and encouraging, sometimes recommending programs for me to attend. Having Mark Jones, who had worked for the town under Public Works mowing these lawn areas, was a great asset and help for me because he was familiar with the equipment that they needed to use. He also knew the different garden areas, the different lawns, the fields. He knew what needed to be mowed. So that was great help. In addition to the department changes, it was necessary to build a 16 by 20 foot building to house the mowers and the garden equipment at the park. Again, volunteer help was essential in completing this project. Trees harvested from Beaver Park provided lumber for the framing and for enclosing the building. So when I wasn't working on gardens, I was at the park, and I had wonderful help, and we built the building. I don't have it completely closed. I have to install the overhead door. Anyone wants to help? I always don't stand around too long. I'll put you to work. I believe the new duties fit well with the Parks Department, and the welcome changes have created new challenges and learning experiences, which I find very rewarding. You probably already know I enjoy my work. Beaver Park continues to offer many recreation opportunities to the town of Lisbon residents and non-residents, such as fishing, swimming, hiking, cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, ice skating when I have good ice on the pond. The 7-acre field is used for ball games, kite flying, cross-country training, and family field activities. Lisbon and surrounding schools utilize the park, facilities, and ponds for school nature studies, field trips. This past year, volunteer Don Walker Elders established the Lisbon Environmental Education Program, which we called LEAP, for Beaver Park. Don and I attended many meetings with teachers and different people involved with the school departments. There was interest. We had teachers who were interested and wanted to move forward with the program, but there were so many time constraints and curriculum constraints that made it difficult for us to implement the program. So it's on hold now. But I think it would be wonderful if we could get the teachers using the park on a regular basis. As it is, we do have the senior class. They come in, they do volunteer work for me, they haul brush, they help with the gardens. We have teachers who regularly use the park. Mrs. Newell brings her physics class in. They build boats using cardboard, duct tape, and plastic, and then they have to paddle the boat across the pond and back, and they're timed. It's usually a real fun event, and the students look forward to that every year. So the schools are using it. We have schools from Bath who come in for their field day, but the resource isn't being used as much as I feel it should be. They're using it for their fun times, but there's so many educational opportunities there. So hopefully we'll move forward in that direction. Programs and group activities which have become a tradition at Beaver Park are, and these are the programs that I mostly lead or teach. We have other groups and organizations who come in. We have mushroom groups that come in. We have the Stanton Bird Club come in. They do walks and look at the birds and stuff. But I guide wildflower walks. I do tree identification workshops. The Lisbon cross-country girls and boys teams have been using the park trails for their training and home meets maybe 25 years now. And it's, you know, in the fall, they're there. They just finished this week. It's the first week since school started that they're not using the park. Their program is complete. We have the annual Beaver Park Fishing Derby, which is hosted by the Lisbon Conservation Commission and Beaver Park. This is a community-wide event with area merchants and citizens donating money to purchase fish that we stock the ponds with for that day. It's held the first Sunday in May. I believe it's been 27 years now that we've been doing this program. Without the support from the local merchants and citizens, we wouldn't be able to put that event on. And people start asking in January when I'm going to have the fishing derby, or they're looking forward to it. Little kids are coming in. They tell me they got a fishing pole for Christmas. You know, it's just something they look forward to. And I've been there for 29 years, so I'm getting a little aged. But I have children who are bringing their children in now. We have 4 generations fishing at Beaver Park. We have the grandfather, the father, and the grandson and the son. So it's really neat. And that's not just one family. There are several of those families. And it's something that they really look forward to, and it's fun. It's an exciting time. And we have the Christmas wreath classes, which I teach. Have also become a family tradition, and I've been doing that for 28 years. I teach 9 classes. They have 15 or more students in each class. The month of November is totally devoted to wreath season. I'm either cutting fir trees, making wreaths, teaching classes. This year Christmas is late, Thanksgiving's early, so I'm going to have a class the first week of December. And people have already started calling and filling up the classes. I charge $12 per class. People come in as they sign up 6 or 7 at a time, as a group, as a family, and it gets them going to the Christmas spirit. I also make wreaths and sell them. I do that per order. I can't get enough made ahead of time to sell them, but people know I make them, and they will call and place an order, and I'll get that made for them. The money derived from this program goes back into the park, either to buy equipment for the tractor or for a special project. We've built our parking lot. We've bought equipment, rakes and things for the tractor. So all the money goes back into the park. We have a newly formed Eager Beaver knitting group that meets at Beaver Park every Wednesday. They meet from 6 to 8:30. And then again, just the Lisbon and the surrounding schools use the park for their activities. Summer Street Park continues to be utilized as a neighborhood park. This 30-acre park provides a network of hiking trails which lead to the Little Androscoggin River. And I neglected Summer Street Park a great deal this summer because something had to give, and it was Summer Street Park. But the treatment plant helped me mow down the saplings that were growing along the road and stuff, so I got some help. And we didn't totally neglect it, so we did do some work down there. The park fees have stayed the same, real affordable, $1 per person if you live in town, family pass, $15 for the year. $3 if you're from out of town, and $30 if you're for a family pass if you do not live in Lisbon. I think we need to tweak some of these fees a little bit, and I'll be back with you later. So, but I want to thank you, and I hope to see you enjoying the town parks and the gardens in Lisbon. You're very fortunate to have these beautiful gardens and parks. Not very many communities can boast of a 337-acre park that they own. I've gotten a lot of compliments over the summer about the gardens. I think it's a lot of work, but it feels good when somebody notices and compliments you on it. So I want to thank you.
Good job, Verla.
Thank you. Any questions at all? Comments?
Excuse me?
There you go.
Stink bug.
Oh, everywhere. Those things are awful.
I learned what he's called. He's a western conifer bug. Western seed conifer bug. I learned that in one of my classes. No.
Thank you very much. I
Any
mean,
questions?
Great job.
No,
Verla.
nice job.
Gardens look
Thank
very
you,
good.
Verla.
they do. I don't think anybody can complain about the way the town's gardens look. Definitely refreshing going through town and seeing those well kept. Next item, Twyla.
Town managers report.
Last weekend, Friday and Saturday, I attended the school visioning session, which had 60 people. That was a really good format, and I think they got a lot of information through. It was facilitated by an outside group, and she did an excellent job. She's got a strong background in education, and it was quite a diverse mix of people. Mr. Phil was there, and Dylan was there. We had probably fewer school staff than they did citizens, parents, business people. It was a great session. I think hopefully they got what they were looking for. I think they did, and we all got thank yous today. You have in your packets the draft of the budget schedule. I am also trying to set up a meeting with the school committee and superintendent of schools in this coming month, so we can sit down as a group and talk about the upcoming budget season, which, again, is going to be another tough one. Our revenues haven't grown to date, so we'll see how that goes this year. Mike Cody, our code enforcement person, is back in the office part-time. We're glad to see him back, and he's quite busy, so that's been good for him, and we're happy to see him back, and he's looking a little bit better. We're all set with our dispatch contracts with Sabatis and Durham, and we've also offered it out to Green. Green was hoping they would be able to get on board, and Chief Brooks met with his dispatch people, and they felt with the call volume that they had, they should be able to handle it, and they'd rather do it all at once, having a learning curve, and so as soon as their manager gets back in the office, we'll get a contract from them, and their board of selectmen hoped that would be the case, that they would be able to come to Lisbon for dispatch. So that's a real positive thing for all of us. Ann was here, or Chris was here, so I put that in my report. And also the Canal Street and Route 196 project that we talked about, the Durham Bridge. That is a project that is going to start hopefully in 2014. The design is being done this coming year. And the ATRC, through AvCog, voted unanimously to support a three-part project, which would include Route 9, the Durham-Lisbon Bridge, and then fixing the street on Canal and 196 to improve traffic flow there. So that was encouraging. It's been a project that's been on the books for quite a long time prior to me being here, so we were able to get that pushed through, and hopefully we'll get funding for it. Public Works continues. They finished all the paving that we had scheduled for this year. The Fisher Road Bridge is done. That if you haven't been over there, you really need to go take a look. They did a real nice job, and hopefully that will last us a lot of years. We have to get some striping done on some of our roads that we paved, and Ryan Layton's been coordinating that with some state striping, and we've actually been working it with Twyla's husband, David Lisette, who is doing the 196 through Topsom, so we hopefully will use the same contractor and get a good price on that. I'd like to also mention that local businesses that worked with Twyla worked with Verla, Janosko's. I came here one morning and had the whole Janosko crew out here helping and working, and she was getting quite an education from George and his sons. And I know Conrad's been pretty helpful, so I'd like to thank all those people who have been, they just stepped up to the plate and have been really good to work with. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Steve. Next item, Twyla.
Is under municipal budget schedule.
Again, if you have any questions, get back to me on that. I'm going to coordinate some more with Rick and make sure that and I'll probably fill it with some of the things that they're doing when it comes to us coordinating and working together on that. So hopefully we'll move forward. I can't believe it's already starting.
Scary.
And I know Mike is going to miss it this year. So, but any questions, give me the help.
Perfect. All right, next item.
We have no appointments, so it's councilor communications next.
All right, open it up. Any communications?
Yes, Very Merry Main Street is on December 1st, downtown Lisbon Falls. And they've got a kind of a little bit different slate of events this year. They're working on all of that right now, but got quite a few new things happening, and I don't know the exact times. Talked to Ross tonight and just found out the date, but it is December 1st, downtown Lisbon Falls.
Should be a good time. Mark, you all good?
I'm all set.
Roger?
All set.
Just a couple things. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the Lisbon hockey team for coming in first place, first time ever. So that's a great job for them. And I just have a couple of departing remarks. It's been a great experience, and I've learned an enormous amount during my tenure. It's been a pleasure and an honor to serve the citizens of Lisbon. I appreciate the support and respect the citizens have showed by continuing to re-elect me. I also want to thank the staff for all their support and hard, diligent work. We have a great staff, which I respect greatly. I feel it's also important to point out our fire department. They're a very dedicated and professional group who spend an enormous amount of time away from their families, training and responding as volunteers for a small stipend compared to the dangers they can face. I also feel we've accomplished a lot during my time. We built a new grocery store. We brought in some great businesses such as Floor Systems, Furniture Superstore, Sausage Kitchen, Rite Aid, Harvey Metals, just to name a few. We've also had growth in some of our existing businesses, Aubuchon, Rite Aid, ETTI, Enterprise, Electric, Rogers Insurance, and there's many others. We've done a great job pulling plans together to improve our infrastructure, like public works vehicles, cruisers, fire apparatus, solid waste equipment. This has all been done with little impact to our taxes. I believe we've only had 3 increases and 1 decrease in my 12 years. I believe we still have many challenges before us, and I urge council, staff, and the citizens to work together positively to continue to move the great town of Lisbon forward. We have a great town and wonderful citizens, and I'm proud and honored to have served you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike, very much. I mean, it's one of the things as a counselor that, as any counselor here will tell, I mean, it's exciting to be a counselor, but unfortunately, once you actually become a counselor, you would kind of wonder how you have the time to do it, because it's the amount of time that I've found in just the last 4 or 5 years, the dedication it takes is, it's just hard to believe the years and the number of hours that you've put in for this town. And I think if the town ever had to equate and add up the dollars for the amount of time that you've ever spent helping and move us in a forward direction, they never could repay you. So
For the good.
it's all for the good. But again, it doesn't go, sometimes it seems like it goes unnoticed, but there's a lot of people that do notice it. And thank you very much. We do honor the time we spent, because it's you have a lot of knowledge, and a lot of that type of knowledge you just can't learn overnight, that's for
Thank
sure.
you.
Thank you. Roger,
I just wanted to say, Fern, that I four-wheel a lot in Berlin, New Hampshire, and they have a weekend where they open the streets up to the four-wheelers. And this sport is it's not what people may have an image of four-wheeling. It's a very family-oriented sport, and they have poker runs right in throughout the city of Berlin. and the four-wheelers were allowed to ride on the roads for that one weekend. And nobody got hurt, everything was organized, it was very well done, and I think that would be a real drawing card for Lisbon if you did that, because that sport is growing in leaps and bounds, and it's a very family-oriented, and I think the council should really look at that very closely.
Yep, actually, I'm quite excited about what Roger's bringing forward, and hopefully we can expand on it. Just a couple things I'd like to add. Again, Mike, we thank you very much, and we'll have more opportunity in the future to hopefully work with Mike and to actually suck out some of the knowledge that he has tapped away, because we're going to need it. A couple of things is, a while back, Gina had actually given me a call, and she actually asked, some citizens were talking to her, and she came up with the idea of potentially having the council have a kind of an open meeting session prior to our meetings. And at the time, I kind of took it in where I was trying to figure out how we can make it work, and recently at one of our school facility meetings, we were talking about the idea of the people having an opportunity to talk during meetings, and the intimidation that people have during that time frame, and sometimes there are people come to our meetings that maybe sit for 2 or 3 hours and have a misinterpretation of what maybe is going to come up, what's not. So, I mean, I give all the credit to Gina, because I think it's a great idea, and I mentioned to Steve, and so after the new council comes on board, what I'm hoping the council will do is actually elect to do this, and we'll probably start a little bit small, probably like a half hour prior to the meeting, and as many councils could be attending with the manager, and it would be more of an open forum where we can actually sit around and talk, and actually if people have questions of the council, I know a lot of people have a hard time during the day coming in to see Steve or see council, but just to have an opportunity to broaden our communication range a little bit, and actually hopefully have people come in that maybe can get a question answered and actually not have to stay for the whole meeting. Maybe you can get it, or maybe they'll actually enlighten us on something that we can actually help help them. So, I mean, I think it's a great idea, and Gina mentioned that, and sometimes actually do it on Saturdays. That'd be a little more difficult for me, so I think we'll start small and work bigger. But again, it's a great idea. Expanding beyond that, one of the things, someone had actually approached me, and I guess there was some mentioning out there about the towns and the grants that we get, and some of our finance questions that we have. And one thing I just want to reassure people, yes, we do get grants in this town. Yes, the police department gets grants, and I do honor Chief for actually moving that forward. And we do get grants for some of our communication needs. That the hardest thing is, there's a lot of these, actually, there's multiple things going on in this town at one time. So some people get sometimes a little confused on where these grants go, but yes, we are getting grants. And yes, our finance department is on top of everything. I mean, our finance department is very sharp. When it comes to TIFs, overlays, of any of the financials, I don't think there's a person on this council that actually second-guess that it's being done right, and I think that our town employees are doing a great job. And so if anybody has any questions or concerns about anything they hear that may not be right, please actually talk to a counselor, because, I mean, I think if you actually ask the questions, I had someone at the shop today that came in and just for a brief meeting, and they just had a few questions, and it's amazing within 5 minutes of communicating with someone that you can really put someone at ease. So to citizens and to the council, hopefully we're open to that, and hopefully with Gina's idea, we can actually kind of make that a little bit better, and we can maybe solve some of the communication issues and have it a little open forum. The last thing I want to do is, election is coming up. We won't be meeting again before elections, so I want everybody to make sure they get educated and make sure you get out and vote, because it's really important, and that's a part of what makes this country what it is. So get out and vote, and no excuse. Twyla's here working hard every day. People coming in early for votes, amazing. It's always happening. Could you actually, a lot of people aren't aware of that, Twyla. Could you actually mention when you are open?
Yes, and we want to encourage everybody to use their ballot. We printed it, and it's available. It's available here to vote during the day until Thursday when we close the office. I'm planning to stay open until 5 p.m. on Thursday for those who'd like to vote here by absentee. After that, it'll be by special circumstances only for those that may be unexpectedly in the hospital or unable to get out. And on Election Day, we'll be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. There are 2 polling places in town, at the MTM Center and at the superintendent's office over on Gartley Street.
And that evening, do you usually post that evening your results of the local on the town website? Is
We'll
that,
be putting our results on the phone. We'll be recording it so you can call in and get a phone
you
message.
call it town office?
Yes, they call the same office number, 353-3000, and you'll dial the extension for the town clerk. And we will have a pre-recorded message with all the, and if you'd like to be on our email distribution list, just let us know.
And that probably won't be early, that's out there. It'll probably be quite late, because
Oh, it might
sometimes
be
you folks...
11, I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
be
It'll be
quite late.
around 11.
Yeah.
I did notice the sample ballots and lots of really great information on the town clerk section of the town website.
We also have available the Androscoggin County Charter for you to peruse through, and there are links to maine.gov, and you can check out the Citizens Referendum Guide to the referendum questions. So there's lots of information out there for people to look and read at.
No excuses, right?
No excuses.
No excuses. So get out and vote if you haven't already, because it is a really important thing to do.
I wondered when Twyla ever had time to be at home. She was here Thursday evening for the planning board meeting. She was here every evening. I don't know how many evenings, but she's hardworking and dedicated.
She didn't get that award for no reason, that's for sure.
I get to go home. I've had supper. I've made supper for my kids every night, surprisingly, huh?
That's awesome. Multitasking.
Yeah.
All right, again, get out and vote, and if there's no other communications from council, we will move forward. And next item, please.
Executive session. Order 2012-169 to go into executive session per 1 MRSA, Section 4056A, Personnel Matters.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
We will be staying here for the executive session, so we'll probably have to ask folks to leave. We may be having a vote when we get done. It all depends what council decides.
I'll be right back.